So, hello guys. In today's video, now we're gonna add our MikroTik, the brains of the operation, the heart of the network, the MikroTik router itself. So, in the previous video, we talked about how you create an account, how you actually set your payment gateway, how you configure and edit your SMS that will be sent on to the clients. So, if you have not seen this video, I highly recommend before watching this, kindly go and watch those videos. But in today's section, now we'll concentrate on the MikroTik part itself. So we're going to add our first MikroTik on this part here, and let's get started. For that, you'll need a software that is normally used to configure MikroTik routers, and that software is normally known as Winbox. So just navigate to mikrotik.com, come here under software section, and now you'll see the Winbox. So there's Winbox version 4.0 and Winbox version 3.42. So if you're using Windows, I highly recommend you use Winbox version 3.42. That's because that's the one that I'm actually familiar with and the one that's normally easy to use. But if, let's say, you want to use the newer model, let's say Winbox version 4.0, for those users or for Windows and even macOS, you can just use Winbox version 4. But for this case, I'll create a video using Winbox version 3.42. So just come here and download for your respective system. So mine, it's a 64-bit system. I'll download. So for mine, I've already downloaded this application. What I'll just do, I'll just launch it. So if I come here and just type Winbox and I open with the Winbox application, as you can see, this is how the Winbox application comes. So here it's connect to. Now this one will automatically autofill with the MikroTik you want to connect to. This is the login where you set your credentials and also the password for now your MikroTik. We'll talk about that as we continue. So here it's add and set. This one normally applies. Let's say you need to add, let's say, a router to a manage section. That's where you don't need, so that you cannot be filling these details manually every time. You can add it on the manage section over here. These neighbors is the one that will actually show the MikroTiks in your network. So if I was to refresh these, as you can see, I don't have any MikroTik on my network as for now. So here's where you can connect to that MikroTik. So now let's unbox the MikroTik that I have here so that we can do now the configuration for that MikroTik now with the Centipede billing system. Now this is the MikroTik that I'll be using now for this tutorial. So this MikroTik is the RB5009 series, and now let's unbox this MikroTik. So you get your user guide over here. Don't throw this because as you can see here, it has our user, admin, and also my password. So don't throw this quick guide as for now, just put it aside. Now we have our form to separate, and now we have the MikroTik, our beautiful MikroTik over here. So this MikroTik, it's the RB5009 series, as you can see. Now this one is the one that will actually configure it on today's video. It doesn't come with wireless for this one. You'll have to install another wireless access point or another wireless adapter for it. But I will just configure it the way it is. And then another thing that we normally are supplied in the box now is the power brick, now to power this monster of a MikroTik. So something to talk about this MikroTik before now we configure it. It can be powered either via this is DC. We have also the jack that will power it from this power supply over here. And also you can power it via PoE on the 2.5 gig on the Ether 1 port. You can power it via 2.5 gig. The specs, so this is a 10 gig. So here's where now a 10 gig SFP port. So this is where now you'll actually set if you need to uplink this MikroTik to your network, you can uplink it through this SFP. Then we have a USB over here. Then this one is a 2.5 gig NIC. And then we have our 1 gig connections over here, 1 gig ports over here. So now let me just show you the procedure of now wiring this one into your network. this is now how now you uplink first your MikroTik to start with. So you will first need your quick guide over here. So we'll require this one. So as I said, don't throw this one, we'll actually use it. But if you don't have this one, because we need the username and password, you can also locate it at behind of the sticker for the MikroTik. As you can see, it's normally right there. But this is how now you wire your MikroTik. So first connect to port 2. That is not port 1, but actually port 2. First connect it to port 2, then connect it to your home router. So this is my home router, and also connect the same PC or the same laptop that you'll use also to the same router so that they can be on the same network. So as I said, just take your user guide. The login was admin and the password. Then just click this one to connect to actually connect now to the 5009 MikroTik. As you can see, the 5009 MikroTik, as we have connected to that MikroTik. First, after you have connected to that MikroTik, there's some few things that MikroTik normally comes. It comes with the default configuration. As you can see, we have here a default configuration. This df config, this comment, it normally states default configuration. We need to remove this default configuration if your Centipede system to actually work very well. So for that, we just come here under system, reset configuration over here, then click here, no default. So the MikroTik will actually reset with no default configuration. So if I was to click on here, the MikroTik, just give it like a few minutes for the MikroTik to reboot. You'll just see all the lights on the ports just flash once or twice, then it will boot up again. So just click here, reset configuration, then click yes. Give it like 2 or 3 minutes, then let's go back to the MikroTik, then I show you what to do next. Now, remove that cable from port 2, that's after resetting. Remove that cable from port 2 and plug it to port 1, the 2.5 gig port for my case, or for your MikroTik, connect it to port 1, also on the same network, so that we can still see that MikroTik online. It will appear like this one. I'll actually show now this one on the computer part on how now we're gonna configure this beautiful part of our MikroTik. So let's go back again to the computer section. So once you have reset now your MikroTik and now you have plugged that cable to port 1, now let's do now the configuration now for that MikroTik now with the Centipede billing system. First, if you try to log in, as you can see, the MAC address changed because for each port on that MikroTik has a different MAC address. And the reason first we connected to port 2, not port 1, the default configuration normally comes with firewall rules that will block you the ability now to see that MikroTik on the neighbor section over here. That's why we normally place it on port 2, because port 1 normally comes with those default firewall rules. So after now you have reset your MikroTik with no default configuration, now you can see now that MikroTik through the same network on using port 1. And that's why you see the MAC address for that MikroTik changed from port 2, which one was EC, to port 1, which is EB. So if I was to click on the EB, if I was to log in via MAC address, right now I cannot log in via an IP address. You can log in via either a MAC address or an IP address. Right now I cannot log in via an IP address because this MikroTik does not have any configuration, so no IP need. So if I was to log in with the same credentials, as you can see, it will tell me wrong username and password, because when you reset your MikroTik, now that the credentials are not the one that are normally set behind the MikroTik or the flyer. Now the logins are admin and password is normally blank, no password. Don't input any password here. Now just log into your MikroTik. So now when you have logged into your MikroTik, the first thing to do is to confirm the version of your MikroTik. For mine, it's version 7.16.2. I highly recommend, if you get a MikroTik that is running version 6 OS, kindly upgrade that MikroTik to version 7. If it's running version 6, kindly upgrade that MikroTik to version 7. And how do you upgrade that MikroTik? So here will actually be prompted to change my password. So let me just put here my secure password. So this is my secure password. First is to configure that MikroTik to receive internet, because if that MikroTik is to get an update from MikroTik itself, it needs to have a connection to the internet. So for that case, we'll just come here under IP, DHCP client. So for my case, I'm being given an IP by my home router via DHCP. So just click here to add a DHCP client. It's on port 1 that we have connected. Then I just click use peer DNS and use pure NTP. Then just click apply on OK. And you can see I've been given an IP by my home router of 192.168.110.232/24. And if I was to open, so how do I confirm that I have connection to the internet? If I was to open my new terminal over here and use my logins, just a minute, and just use my logins over here. Under password section, just type your password. The password will not be displayed while you are typing, but just type it out. Let me just log in again. So this is admin and also my password. Now you'll be prompted if you need to see the software licenses, just click yes to read on it, but for my case I don't need to read it. On this terminal, we're gonna now check if our MikroTik has internet. So let me just do a simple ping. Just type ping. Now let's ping one of the most reliable service. That's Google Public DNS servers. So that is 8.8. And then we'll see a response from Google AdSense. For my case, I'm getting at around 10 ms, 10 milliseconds of ping. That will work for mine. Just click Ctrl+C to exit from that ping test and internet connection. Now we have to upgrade our MikroTik. So just come here under quick set, then check for updates. So if you are running version 6, and I actually recommend if you're using version 6 to change to version 7, come here to channel and change it to upgrade. Here it's actually running version 7. I don't have that option for upgrade, but for yours you will have an option for upgrade it to version 7. It's normally version 7.12, so first upgrade that MikroTik to version 7. But for mine it's running version 7. I need to update it from version 7.16 to the latest is actually 7.19. So I just click here. I need the stable version, and then I'll just download and install the new version of MikroTik OS. It will take a minute, so let's just wait for it to download the update. So I forgot to say what download and install means. It will download the file and install it on your computer. But if you clicked on download, it will download the update but will not install the new software until your MikroTik reboots. So this applies in two scenarios. If you need your MikroTik, if let's say you're upgrading a MikroTik that is on a very core system, just use download. It will actually install the software when the MikroTik reboots, let's say at midnight. But if it's a new MikroTik, I highly recommend you download and install that software at that time. So my MikroTik has actually downloaded the new software, and if I was just click here to refresh, just give it a few minutes. Now you can see I can log in now via the address. This is the MAC address or an IP address, as you can see here. So for this case now, let me just log in with an IP address because an IP address is stable. Now I'll just input now my password. Now, as you can see, I've logged in now into the MikroTik via an IP address of 192.168.110.232. And now, because our MikroTik is now updated to the latest version, if you're using a refurb MikroTik, I actually recommend come here under files and delete any files you find here apart from these two, auto, or you can just delete all of them. Let's just delete all of them. So we have none files over here. Control A to select all of them, then click minus to delete all the files, so that now your MikroTik, we can now configure it with the system. So just come here, go to our Wavecore demo. Now click here to link a MikroTik. So here is where you set the identity of that MikroTik. If you need that MikroTik to be called, let's say, a certain name, where now you set that identity. So for this case, I'll just call it Wavecore. Let me just call it Wavecore. Then click on next. Centipede automated this install procedure very well. Just come, copy this provisioning command, come under your MikroTik, open terminal, and just paste it over here. Then it's simple as just clicking enter. So just wait for it. It will download. It will actually ping to confirm that you have an internet. Download everything the system needs. So just give it like around 30 seconds will do. So as you can see, I've gotten one of the best messages. That script file loaded and executed successfully. Now, let's navigate back to our system. As you can see now, our servers now can reach your MikroTik. So now you can continue on the provisioning command. So just click here to continue. Then I need both the PPPoE service and also the hotspot service. And I'd like to enable an hotspot anti-sharing protection. Anti-sharing protection means if a client, let's say, buys a hotspot package, he cannot hotspot that package to another, the same package he bought to another user. So another thing I need to point out, if either one, it's actually, you see either one here, the one that is receiving net, please select on that, don't check that port. But for my case, I don't have either one displayed in this number of ports, so I'll just check the remaining ports. So that's ports 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Then I'll just click here to configure the services. As you can see, the configuration is in process. Actually configuring everything. It's just a plug and play system. Just click, 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 and you are done. So it has successfully actually now configured our MikroTik. So some people will be worried about this status offline. This offline, it's our cache, is our system cache. Just give it like a few minutes for this one status to become online. But if you are hesitant, you can just confirm. Just click on your MikroTik over here. Then here under action, just ping that MikroTik, and you'll receive your MikroTik router is reachable. Now that's how you actually now know you have configured your MikroTik well. So if I was to go back here and I go back to MikroTik, if I was to check on the logs, now I can see what was done on the MikroTik. These are the logs. So the first step in troubleshooting, so if there was a fault in configuring the system, now this is the first step if you need to troubleshoot your account. But for mine, there's no issue over here. So I'm done. There's nothing else to do. It configured everything. All my ports are on the same bridge, created the one bridge, also deployed our hotspot. It's here. And also our PPPoE. It also created our PPPoE server. So that MikroTik is already now provisioned successfully. Now we can go on the next video on how now you had a hotspot client, a hotspot package, how you add a PPPoE package, how you onboard PPPoE users. Now that's on another future video. This one was a long video because we had a lot to talk about. But till next time, guys, adios.